A very toasty welcome to everyone who is hustling out there in their life, relationship, and work. You are listening to the Rohan Arote show, and I am your host, Rohan. Welcome back, everyone, to the part two of episode of Is a Relationship Stopping You or Creating Greater for You? In the previous episode, that is the part one, we had left on a word sacrifice. We are here with our very own special guest and my coaches, Swamy Pillai and Maansi Pillai.
Thank you, Rohan.
Hey
Hi,
guys,
everyone.
thank you, Rohan.
So we are going to pick up from the word sacrifice, which I had left in the last episode. That is, many people end up saying that relationship is a big sacrifice, and if you want to get into a relationship, you should learn to sacrifice, compromise, and try to fit into the definition of other person's, other person's definition, or that person should fit in your definition.
Correct.
What is your comment on that?
Okay, so what I suggest here is instead of asking my comment, I would rather put across the observation that there are two ways in which relationship can be looked at as. One is a relationship is sacrifice and we need to fit into it, or else we can look relationship as a possibility to create greater,
Okay.
where we can add on and pool each other's resources and contribute to create a greater life for each other.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is just a point of view and a perspective which we have brought from society, which we have. And what does society consist of? Society consists primarily of your parents. Okay, you have your parents from whom you learned how relationships are made, how relationships are done. Okay, and you have your friends, you have your relatives, you have movies, you have serials from where you buy as to how relationships work.
But then, are you saying that these statements, and it's most like a generic statement, and it's been said by most of them who are giving you a relationship advice. I'm not saying the experts, but if you ask any family member,
Yeah.
how should I work out my marriage, or how should I work
Correct.
out my dating, or anything,
Yes.
they usually say that relationship is all about sacrifice. So
Correct.
is this statement coming from very old ages and from the generations to generations to generation, and we are also passing it on to the next coming generation, that okay, dear, relationship is a compromise, sacrifice, and you have to fit into it?
I think I'll let Mansi have a take on this. Let us share.
Wow, that's a beautiful space where I can begin that. It's not a age-old thing or generation trait or DNA trait which you are putting across, or where we just easily make our, like, okay, we can just flunk and say, hey, it's just an age-old thing. Everybody,
Right,
like my generation said, my granny says. I think in every generation there are rebels, and every generation invite us to a possibility or invite us to a space where we see that people are also happy.
Right.
Because it's not about, if you're sacrificing something, you will be happy. So I would put across that the energy or the meaning or the space behind sacrifice is always a energy which is not very open. It's not very easygoing. It feels like very tough thing, right?
Right.
But I would rather invite you to see how much space are we creating in a relationship where we are allowed to flunk, where we are allowed to be right, where we are allowed to be wrong, we're allowed to experiment.
Right.
How much are we ready to play with each other instead of finding the right path, the only path, and nothing can go wrong. So how much of the pressure on us is, hey, there cannot be anything wrong about it.
Right.
So to be pragmatic about relationship, I would rather invite, whenever we are creating a relationship, can we invite all the things? Like there will
Right.
be war, there will be hate, there will be sacrifice, there will be compromise, there will be every kind of stuff happening. Yet there is something which is holding you there together. So what
Right.
is that? That is the space where you really allow yourself to go through any situation, and you know that the other half will hold that space for me, and I'm okay if I fall, because Even when you are starting walk, like when you started walking, or you're learning a new piano lesson, or you are going to work in a different industry, there are different challenges. Yet why do you enjoy that work? Because there is a excitement to explore more about it. So when we define it as a problem or there is a mistake, then only we hold ourselves back. What if we
Right.
allow our partner or our family or everybody around that relationship to give a space? Hey, you know what, you're allowed to commit a mistake, and if something is not working, we will sit together, we'll work on it, and we will not make it a issue which is really like, oh my god, what will happen now?
Right.
So how can we make it like a child play rather than putting it across like a project which cannot fail? Even if the biggest costless project like Chandrayaan,
Right.
it failed,
Right.
yet they didn't give up. Okay, they said, hey, now okay, fine, what more we can experiment, where we can find out. So relationship is also like an experiment. In
Mm-hmm.
every generation, in every age group, with any kind of partner, you can only know a person about how much, like 30, 40, 50%.
Right.
Yet when the person is every time changing, you are also changing, situation are changing, how can you find predictability in a person? Okay,
Right.
there will be some specific trait which are really identifiable, yet there is a lot many layers inside.
Right.
But when you are allowing that space to play, you see every kind of trait inside that person, every kind of situation in that person, and yet there is some uniqueness, there is some magic.
Right.
The problem happens, or we stop ourselves there, when we don't want to face some situation where we are not comfortable.
Absolutely. And I would love to pick something from here. Um, Now there are people, especially for me. Let's take my example, and I have no shame about being open with that. To not to get into a relationship, okay, is also a part of relationship which is stopping you. You're using
Absolutely.
relationship to not to get into a relationship.
Absolutely. These are definitions of relationship which we are putting across, and we only want to see that.
Right.
So once you define something, okay, this is relationship.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, this is a relationship. So what about 10? What about 9? What about 60? What about 100? There is no option where you can add something to it.
If once you define it.
Once you define it, can you really define a person? Can you define yourself? You are changing every second,
Right.
and you want to define and put across a box into the word relationship. So every time a husband, wife, or a partner, or anybody for that matter is coming there, there is no room to play or innovate anything.
You're right.
Life is all about innovation. Life is all about experimenting.
Right.
So innovation can go wrong. And what is that so called wrong is? It's just another scenario or any other situation which just came, and now we are asking, hey, what all we can add here? What all tools we can add here? What all things we can do here? So
Okay.
where have we stopped playing? Where have we stopped innovating our relationship?
So also, what happens is if anyone has gone through a breakup, okay, where they were totally committed, but the person didn't. Okay, due to
Reciprocate.
any
Yeah,
reason they happened to just part away and had a breakup, or they had a divorce or anything that sort of where the couple is parting away from each other. When they get into a new relationship, or they whenever they want to get into a new relationship, is there a possibility, or are there things from the past relationship which is carried forward in your current relationship or the relationship you might want to get into? And if at all you really get into a relationship, those past relationship issues or things
Patterns.
which or the
The
uh,
patterns, you can say.
yeah, so
Mm.
are they, do they affect, or do people really use it in that relationship? And now, for example, let me be very simple about this. Let's say because of my particular habit, or I had a breakup. Okay, let's take it
yeah,
upon as an
Yeah.
example.
Mm. Yes.
But that habit is like being my own self,
Correct. Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Now I am getting into a relationship, and I want to be much more secured about that,
Yeah.
so that I take care of my habit. and I stopped being myself by not doing that habit.
Right.
So these on this note, do people really come up with their past relationship dramas and traumas or beliefs and values and then put it into the new relationship, and now that makes them being not themselves
Correct.
in a
Yeah.
relationship?
Yes. So I have like there are a lot of people who come to us with their relationship issues, and we see this pattern that gets carried forward from one relationship to another, a pattern, and we already define what went wrong in the earlier relationship and what is it that I have to ensure that doesn't repeat in this relationship.
Right.
Right. So we define it. We define certain habit patterns. We decide certain behaviors. We decide certain traits that should not be there in the other person or that should not be there in me.
Right.
Because if that is there, then that could create problem. Right. So and also there are a lot of strong emotional charge whenever any relationship breaks. Not all the time, but some relationship break up, or either it can be an intimate one, or it can be a business relationship, or it can be any kind of friendship. If there is a lot of emotional charge involved, when I say emotional charge, it was not easy to part away. There was so much of drama. There was so much of trauma that went through. So definitely we try to ensure that this doesn't get repeated.
Right.
So we definitely close down a lot of aspect of ourselves.
Right.
Okay, and one of the way in which we see that they are able to break away is to let go of their hurt, the anger, the frustration, which they kept within themselves during that process of separation. So that can be done through a process, which there are different approaches to it. That is what we involve in our coaching process, where we help them to let go of their anger, let go of their hurt and other stuff. And primarily there is a decision which they take. There is a belief system that gets formed.
Right.
I will never ever be open to my partner, because my early partner, when I disclosed a lot of things, he used that against me.
Right.
So you decide here that you would never do that. Okay.
Right.
However, that is functioning from a past belief, a projection.
Right.
Okay. And definitely it shows up most often than not. It shows up in that relationship, in the new relationship as well. So
Right.
it is very much essential for us to have a clean slate. However, most of the people, even me included, I was not aware that there can be certain coaching, there can be certain intervention that can happen, there can be certain therapeutic sessions that can happen by which we can let go of this anger, this frustration, and these old beliefs that are no longer empowering us in this new relationship.
Okay.
So yes, that is definitely possible, and unless and until we don't address that, this would keep repeating in different relationships. So people can keep changing partners, however they would keep having different issues coming up, because it is not about people, it is about the issue which they are not looking which they are not ready to look at themselves, the beliefs that they have now formed about
Right.
relationship.
Right.
So it is it does get carry forward. However, there are people who address this. They take it is not necessary that one always have to take help from external source, from a
Right.
coach or from a guru or anyone. It's more about it. One can just go and self introspect.
Okay.
And they can find-
how to really do a self introspection?
Okay, so one of the way is, if you have to really self introspect, you really have to sit with yours. This is one of the way.
Okay.
Sorry, there can be many ways. This is one of the way in which I have used for myself. Excuse me. So this is about sitting with the issue. For example, there is this anger that is coming up, and if there is this anger that is showing up in the body, not to really justify that anger. Not what we normally do is we justify an anger. We give explanation why I'm feeling angry. Okay, if I don't have to find a reason why I'm angry, if I don't question it, if I don't try to find answers, if I don't try to find solution, if I don't explain, if I don't do any of these things, and I can just sit with the sensation that this anger is creating in my body and just stay with it, as if So there are a lot of dialogues that keeps happening. There are a lot of commentaries. Like
Right.
when you watch a cricket match, there is commentary that happens. So similarly, when these stories, when there are different personalities within you, when they are talking with each other, so there's a lot of commentaries going on.
Right.
So it is like switching off all the volume down and just staying with that sensation in the body. So every emotion that is true, you can sense it in your body.
Okay.
Any emotion that is coming from the mind, you will not sense it. You cannot feel in your body. That's just a story. So if something is true for sure, then you would sense it in your body. So there was this time when there was a person who was very close with me, who's still close right now. However, there was this time when I got extremely hurt with one of the behavior,
Okay.
and I was so hurt that it was so heavy, and that's when I used this way of staying with that anger, staying with that frustration, with the sensation of the frustration, and not doing anything, not trying to escape, not trying to go and watch a movie, not trying to
Right.
go and hang out with friends, just staying with it. And I didn't do this initially. There was 2 to 3 days where I was trying to find all the reason, all the blame game was going on as to why this person is horrible and why people are horrible and what is wrong and what is right. There was so much of blame game, trauma was happening. And then that was not leading me anywhere. Okay. And I knew that I had to sort it out within myself. And that's when I just, did apply this and closed all my escape doors.
Okay.
So once I closed my escape doors and I sat with it, and over a period of time, these strong, heavy sensations, they just melt down, and then there is an empty space. That's what I had experienced. Okay, so this is one of the way
Okay.
where one can really, without using their mind, okay, without the need to understand any of these stuff, the psychological aspect of what is creating it, is one of the most simplest way which I have found for myself that has helped for me.
Okay, great. So now, from in the last episode, as well as from the time we have started, we have been focusing on stopping relationships, stopping you. Now I want to go to the second part of the today's episode, that is creating greater for you. How can really a relationship create greater things for you?
So beautifully, like every morning you wake up and you don't see your face by sensing yourself. You go to the mirror.
Right.
So how many mirror in the day you're seeing in relationship? Like your parents, your friends, your colleagues, your business partner. And the most close one, if I say that, is your parents and your partner. So how much of that image, whatever you are, whatever you're progressing, and whatever you have really received of yourself. So when I say received of yourself, you're really enjoying that part of you. Even if you are angry on somebody, you're enjoying that part of you.
Right.
Even if you're hating somebody, you're enjoying that part of you. Because
Right.
you don't stick to the rules or the labels only. This is it. This is it. There is no this is it. You are everything. Where have you really hold yourself as a person or as a machine where you want to feed only 4 things? I am good. I am growing. That is everything nice. I am just happy. There is no other space for any other emotion.
Okay.
So, as a human, you are everything. You are going to be everything. You're going to experience all type of emotion. Just take it granted, I'll say.
Okay.
But what really is a fun part of is how much are you being with that emotion. If you're angry, it doesn't mean that you will process the anger for days together, and you're just brooding on it. Okay, you're angry and that phase went, and after like half an hour or something, you just came back to your normal senses stuff when the sensation has dropped. Like how beautifully mentioned, something is happening. That phase also come when it just gone down. When it is gone down, there is lot less chaos in the mind, less stories in the mind. You really ask a question, hey, what does it happen? Why I was angry?
Okay.
So when we are saying growing together, somewhere at times when you share that part with somebody or you talk about it or you do certain things with them, you get to see, oh, it's not such a big deal, yeah. I can just let it go off. There's so
Right.
many other aspect of it which I'm really enjoying. So I don't have to really stop with one. So creating with a partner or creating with, like I'll speak about the intimate or otherwise, give you a chance to see that greatness in others as well.
Okay.
So whenever I see that greatness in me, or that factor in me, I could also see the fun factor in others.
Right.
And that brings a lot of joy, because we are in a society where we see people. We are in a people society. We are not staying in Himalayas or in a jungle where only you are there and the inner dialogues are happening.
Right.
There are people. You are creating those people every day, right?
Right.
So you get an opportunity to see those beautiful creation with people. And the people energy is also contributing to see that whenever you are stopping yourself, what are you really missing? And when you're choosing greater for yourself or choosing to create something new, what is the impact it is on people? It
Right.
is like a motivation for you. When you
Right.
cook a good meal for your husband or your family, they are just so happy receiving it. And how much you receive because they are receiving it.
Right.
So co-creation is a way where you experience that greatness or that contribution to in a much more level which you might have experienced only for yourself. It's easy.
Okay.
And there are aspects where you say like, okay, I just want to be selfish. I just don't want to know about others.
Right.
But when you are sharing these moments with the other person and you see they're so happy, you also would really like to let go of those self-interest.
Right. But
And
then let go of these self-interest.
automatically it's not an
It's not an
effort. Yeah,
intentional,
because
not
when
effort.
you are liking somebody and you're creating with somebody, you'd also like to say, hey yaar, it's fun, so let me see if
So sometimes are you saying that letting go off is also fun?
letting go of is also fun.
Okay.
It's like traveling in a lift where you are not only interested in knowing what is on the ground floor, but you're also ready to go to the top
Explore
floor.
and explore the other
Yes.
fronts as
So
well.
how much fun is it? Like you're gone to the top notch of your career, top notch of whatever you wanted, and you're just alone there, like enjoying the facts.
Right.
Still, if you take everybody there, where you have your friends, you have your family, you have your spouse, or you have whatever relationship you have, and with those people you're sharing this thing, how much of more it is fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I may have to add some other examples here. So, how can we create greater in relationship is by allowing the other person the space to be themselves, especially when they are in their most vulnerable state.
Okay.
Right, we are not always in a very resourceful state where we are performing fantastically.
Absolutely.
There are times when you are
Yeah.
feeling low, when there are times when we are not really feeling good about ourselves because of whatever reason.
Right.
And there it's not perhaps by advising the other person, it is perhaps just holding the space, allowing the other person to be, and you not judging them for feeling bad or feeling sad or feeling depressed. You are just, hey, I'm there, whatever you are, in whatever state you are, I'm just there with you.
Right.
So that can create greater in a relationship. Okay, so
Okay.
creating greater is not really necessarily something actually creating something out of that. It's just being an allowance of the other person's behavior and the feelings and emotions of whatever they're experiencing,
Okay.
and not making it right or wrong, not judging it. I think one of the greatest contribution, or one of the greatest thing that most of us look for from our partners and from people is acceptance.
Right.
When it's acceptance
as well as validation.
It's more of acceptance. We'll speak on
Okay.
the validation part as well. Acceptance is where you want to be accepted by the other person for whatever you are.
Okay.
If you make a mistake, you just want the other person to be okay with it. Okay. If you flunk, then you want the other person to be okay. If the other person happens to be in that space where he's able to receive your all these different actions and behaviors which are not really have been one of
Aspects
the
of
most
your
resourceful one of your most resourceful actions or behavior, and see if the other person is ready to offer you that space of, okay, fine, you can be this.
Okay.
That can create so much greater for the other person.
So relationship is like a teamwork.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to be the Superman or Superwoman for everything. You can really rely on everything with by sharing the resources, and yet not just depend on. There is an energy of dependency, and there is an energy of co-creating.
Yeah.
So co-creating include the gifts of what you are and what the other person are, and it's a easy way.
Like
Okay.
it's a it's a give and take is happening. It's not that I'm dependent on always dependent on the other person for me to feel good. For example, if a person husband is coming back from a day's long of hard work, he cannot expect that when he goes back home, his wife has to make him happy.
Right.
The wife may be going through some other issues of her life, and she may be waiting for her husband to come back so that she can share her story. And
Right.
here, when you come back home and she starts, sharing all the stuff that is going on, the husband may get irritated with it,
Right.
because that's where you had already expected that you wanted the other person to, you just wanted to just spend a quiet
Here,
time when you
right,
come back.
quiet time, right.
And here is where you are there for each other, and where you can see, okay, great, I'm looking for this at this point of time, and you are looking to share so many things. I'm not really in that space right now. What can we create together where we can still be able to contribute? Okay, instead of because we both are full, both buckets are already full, and you just
Right.
want to
Right.
spill it. It just that you don't want to spill over each other your frustrations or your anger. That's where communication plays a major role.
Right.
Most of the time it's assumption. Most of the issue happens from the space of assumption, that you assume that the other person should be doing this for me.
So in a relationship, according to you, since you brought the communication thing up, how much should you be communicative, and about what all things should you be communicative with your partner? Should you be communicative about all the stuff happening, or should you be aware about what to really share?
Well,
So
Yeah.
so yeah, definitely there is always a possibility that if you share something, things might just go
well,
off.
yeah, so I get the space on which you are referring to. And earlier I thought that it has to be sharing every single thing,
Okay.
and that's where you are being true in a relationship. With the period of time, as I have been exploring this area, as I have been doing a lot of these sessions with people and learning more, observing more, learning more, and I have come to this space that you need to be kind in a relationship when you are communicating. So what do you mean by kind? So you need to communicate only that can create greater. If
Okay.
whatever you're going to communicate is not going to create greater, where the other person is going to make you wrong and the other person is going to make himself wrong, then that communication not going to contribute. So for me, the way I look at it is, what can contribute now? What can contribute so that greater can be created with each other, with in this
So-
relationship? And in what way and how much needs to be communicated? Because if in some relationship, or even in the same relationship, we are not in a very resourceful state where we can receive each other's complaints.
Right.
Yeah, so there are
Right.
times when you are so happy that you are okay other person complaining.
Right.
You have the bandwidth to absorb
Right.
those complaints, and there are times when you are already full and you cannot just take a single bit of complaint or nagging.
But isn't it like driving a car? You don't, just because you're driving a Mercedes, you don't go every time to 180 or 200.
Right.
You will use the pace of whichever is required according to traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
But then isn't it more like just being positive? So
No.
what you said.
So
We are
what-
not being positive here.
So what
Okay.
do you mean by positive? So
Yeah.
where is it coming from? All these labels of positive and negative, isn't it again that you only want to see a person like that?
Right.
A good,
Do
good
you
part,
wear the
yeah.
same underwear every day?
No, that's not the case.
Yeah. So why do you want a person to be just positive, just smiling, and
Right.
just give whatever you want it to be? How about you see all the aspect of a person like different underwears,
Mm-hmm.
and you still enjoy it? Because anything which is happening constantly in one way, it is stale. It's not even fun. There is no action in it, right?
Right.
So you love something which is constantly changing, and yet it is fun because there is a pace which you're enjoying every day. If every day you come home and your wife will say, hey, you know what, I really love you, darling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll offer you really the dal and chawal, only dal and chawal, because you love rajma chawal.
Mm-hmm.
I know Rohan doesn't like rajma chawal, so I'm using it. So every day I'll say, hey, darling, I love you, and I know you love rajma chawal. Let's eat every day rajma chawal.
Okay.
How many days are you think your husband is going to say, hey, you know what, honey, rajma chawal doesn't. Yeah. So every time we want the steps. Give me 1, 2, 3, 4 for a dynamic, beautiful relationship. What is that 1, 2, 3, 4, man? It's
Right.
life.
Right.
It's like a permutation combination of everything.
Yeah.
Something
And it's
negative,
so
something
unique.
positive, and something very different as well. It is an aspect of life. You are not machine. That
Yeah,
I
it's
can
not
just,
exactly. I'm so
yeah,
sorry. So it's not like a formula that you can give that this will work. Okay, it always can keep on changing, and what I am
Right.
giving right now may not necessarily work in one particular scenario. So actually, I'm very wary of giving advices in my coaching. I never give advice because we need to be present to that situation in that relationship and see what is working.
Okay.
So if any of the thing that I am telling or even Mansi is saying may not really work for everyone and not in every situation, we need to be get present to what is happening here and what can create greater. And and where all we have decided that we are experts and only experts in relationship can offer. Each one of us are expert in our own life in on our
Right.
own way.
Right.
We all have, everyone has, every single person on the planet earth has can share so much on relationship, and nobody is greater or lesser. It's just that they are all sharing different thing.
or rather, I will say you can write your own encyclopedia what really works for
Yeah,
you and what doesn't
fantastically
work
said.
for you.
Okay.
Yet, I'll come again to that space that if I am not introspecting my own life, if I'm not really
Present.
authentic to myself, I can't like reproduce the same in my relationship.
Right.
There's always that which I have kept myself to, which I'm not allowing myself to go through. I cannot allow that to go through in my relationship as well. The more I am free and the more I am easy with myself, the more I can go easy with the other person, or also have the bandwidth to go for this creativity. Like how
Right.
we say, na, ki the first year of marriage is very fun. You really pay attention, you really bring flowers, you really talk, you really like take all the care so that it is a beautiful relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a maintenance program, guys. It's not like you bought a Mercedes and you parked it, right? So how much are we maintaining our life? How much are we really spending that much maintenance for ourselves? And the same with our relationship. Why are you want to taking everything granted?
Right.
It's not
Yeah,
a
this is
granted program. It's not a loyalty program. It's a program which is changing every second, and you are like on the edge of change every second, every day with everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be really unique. You have to be really creative and really have to take it as a game. You have to be really aware. What are you doing? What are you saying? What are you where? And it's easy for the simple reason. Now you know, okay, I don't have to be just this.
Right.
Because it's not possible. You
Right.
can't be just this. In the first year, there will be something. On the second year, there will be some other responsibility. Third year, there will be some other responsibility. Yet, when you're celebrating your happy 60 together, there is this moments of togetherness and being for each other, which is really going to make it memorable.
Right.
But we want to stick to the melodrama which we see in the cinemas or in the serials.
Mm-hmm.
We only see the rosy part of it.
Right.
But life is just not about one candle, one greeting, and one cake and one diamond.
Absolutely. I
It
trust that.
goes beyond all the things which you go through together. And it's like a teamwork, it's like a challenge. And yes, it's fun because both are ready to play. So, the one thing which I would invite my friends or the listeners to anybody on this, or to even myself, when I'm reflecting while saying this, how much am I ready to play today? How much am I ready to play today? Am I really playing? Or
Right.
I've just given up. No, I've concluded. No, nothing is happening. This person is this. I am this. Blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
And
And
that's what most of
end
them
of the
do.
story.
correct. And that's where it comes up to being present to all the beliefs that you have already formed about that relationship, because those beliefs are going to limit what you're going to experience from that relationship. Those beliefs about the other person was going to limit you from receiving something more than what your belief is. For example, this person always forgets to wish me on my special day, just for
Right.
example.
Well, it's
Okay.
not an example. It's a real life situation.
So now here we make that thing so significant.
Right.
Either of the spouse, whosoever is, for them this aspect is significant, that they need to be wished on their birthday. They need to be not just wish on face to face, but they have to post it on the Facebook as well,
Yeah.
which has become more of a fad right now.
Yep.
So here really see whom are you living this relationship for? Are you living this relationship for yourself, or you have created an image of this relationship and you are trying to maintain that image? So much of effort goes into maintaining that image of the relationship, instead of you getting to come to face with what is the status of relationship. No, where are things not really, where really things needs maintenance, and where are, and so many different areas we are trying to cover up by saying that
Absolutely.
all is well,
So
and this is
relationship is
okay.
seasonal basically. If it's summer, you know you need to take care of your clothes, and if it's rainy, you better like take the
Have to have
umbrella.
different.
You can't say, "Hey, no, I love you and this works, so I will always have my
Yeah,
umbrella,
you
even
just
if it's winter."
yeah, you just asked for this wonderful raincoat on this rainy day, and now it is winter, and you say, why are you not wearing that raincoat? You were just asked 3 months ago. So it's like that. So people
Right.
change.
Right. So, a last question for this episode. So, as you mentioned that a person or people usually create an image about their relationship, or they conclude what Mansi also said.
Yes.
If anyone has that kind of a realization that I am into a relationship and this is the frame or this is an image of my relationship and that is not working for me. So, in such cases, or maybe an assumption as well, that this person is never going to change, okay, he is going or she is going to be like this forever because that's their natural way of living their life and that is who they really are.
Yeah.
In such situations, should they just give up on the relationship and part away?
Mm-hmm.
Should they work on that? Or what's the third, any other option there which doesn't fit into these two?
Yeah. So here it again comes to this, that you tell me one single thing that can work. I would say there is no one single thing. What
There
is going
is
to
no
create?
secret formula, guys. The secret is out now.
Yeah, that's what is going to create greater. Is walking away from relationship is going to create greater for you at that time? Is it sorting out, creating a very clear, authentic space of communication is necessary if that is going to create greater? Or yeah, so it's for a person to
But then
decide what is
people are
going to.
really not aware that they don't really know
That's
that.
a lie. That's a
Okay.
lie.
Is
All
that
of us are
people are not aware or people are not
choosing.
trying to see the truth because
Yeah.
it is
They-
obvious that we know what is the truth, what is work for you, and it is so obvious. It's like common sense, which is not so common.
Right.
And we were stretching that thread till it just goes away from your hand, and then you say, "Hey, now, so I have to take something."
Right.
Because
So-
we have
yeah.
seen people in our coaching or in our life as well where people are parted, but now it is working so beautifully for both of them that they are now like friends and their relationship is working on a different level. Now they're staying together and killing each other every day, yet now they're separated and now they're maintaining a relationship which is a very different relationship. So
Okay.
where have you also concluded the relationship which we have learned that there must be some label? Either you
Mhm.
are my wife, either you're a divorcee, either you are my friend, either it's a live-in relationship and I don't know what not. How many
Mhm.
definitions and types of relationship we have created.
Right.
Rather than creating from that, can we create from a space which is really working for us?
Right.
And we have to play and see. There's nothing like a thumb rule that you have to follow that only. This is
Mhm.
not a judgment or a code where we are sitting and we will say, "Hey, you know what, this is only right."
Right.
So we cannot be in judgment of what is the right way of living a relationship. What are the to-do list in relationship? Of course, one can quote a lot of things, but they may or may not work. In any one particular case.
Mhm.
So
Right.
so yeah. So initially, I thought there has to be thumb rule. Initially, I thought that if there are certain specific principles that one follow would set it all right. However, when I tried reading a lot of different books and a lot of listening to a lot of from many different experts, many of those formulas and principles I was not comfortable applying it because I think I was different, and my relationship with different people required something else there.
So you
So
mean to say that there is no one set of rules or a
correct.
book which will tell you
Absolutely.
how to
Right.
manage or how to have a relationship with your
May or see if some book works and well and good, and the thing is so that book and that particular principle may work for you for a particular period of
period
time,
of time,
and
right?
something else would work later on. So what I am trying to tell you here is things are dynamic, life are dynamic, but we are trying to fix things.
Right.
We are trying to have one step that would always work. One step may not really always work. So
Right.
there are the YouTube and the books are filled with so many different exercises of what one needs to do.
Mhm.
Okay, you see what is comfortable for you, what works for you.
Right.
For someone, perhaps reading from book may be hypothetical.
Right.
For them, a coaching may help. For
Right.
some, coaching may not really be affordable thing, or that may not be their choice. So they may have to just go and discuss with their friends. perhaps
Right.
discuss with their family, and perhaps from there they can get out. So see what resources are available to you. I am
Okay.
just bringing here to this possibility that yes, there is this coaching aspect which has come, which is which is evolving, which is emerging. And uh, this coaching was not really too much prevalent earlier,
Mm-hmm.
because we had certain family system in place.
Okay.
If you actually remember the olden days, if you see the olden days, men, they all would gather together, okay, and they would just chit chat. And
Mm-hmm.
while the men used to go to work in the farm or work, the women all would sit chat and just talk about all their frustrations and all the drama that is going. So that was a way of outlet for them, right? So we
Okay.
had different systems, and now the society is undergoing a change, where from more of a joint family we are moving into nuclear family, from living from village we are moving into cities, and where we really don't know our neighbors.
Right.
So it doesn't work by blaming that things have changed and time has changed, and that's why things are not working.
So that brings me to the word called nurturance.
Okay.
The more you're nurturing yourself in any of the ways which is working for you, you will see it is very easy to nurture that part outside as well, called relationship.
Okay.
If I'm not nurturing myself enough, I cannot go and nurture others people. And that is what is missing. It's not about whether somebody is selfish, whether somebody wants to do it, whether we are not choosing it. It's about, are we really nurturing that part?
Okay.
So when I'm going and bitching with my friend, after that bitching energy has went, I'll come to a place where I'm like, yeah, life is easy. There's nothing much going wrong. So how much are we connecting to ourselves and how much are we connected to others to bring this nurturance? How much
Okay.
are you being in separation? Like, you don't even sit with yourself 5 minutes and tell the truth to yourself.
Yeah.
Goddamn. To
Okay.
tell about others. So yeah.
Super. And I hope many of you have really understood what really needs to be done. And there's no one set of book or rule or any law which is going to help you have your relationships taken care of. It might be your business relationship, your intimate relationships, or your family, or anywhere else where you're creating a relationship. So even a relationship with a stranger, there's no one way, I believe now. And that's a super insight from this episode. I hope you have also, all of you have also got some fruitful insights which you can immediately implement in your life, and get into a really fruitful or a meaningful relationship wherein you are creating greater for your own self, and don't let your relationship stop you. So that's it from our end, and it's a wrap for this particular episode. That is relationship stopping you or creating greater for you? Thank you for being here, Swami and Mansi, and sharing your insights. We would love to have you more.
Thank you so
And
much, Rohan, for giving us this space where we are sharing, and it's not that we are experts and we are sharing. We are work in progress. We are just sharing what has worked for us. And yeah, thank you so much for this
I always
platform.
remember you saying that everyone is in work in progress. I guess it's
Yes.
Mansi who used to say that.
So I used to say I'm ready to play every time.
Right,
Bring me the game.
right. So thank
Yeah.
you, both of you, and
Thank you,
there's
guys.
everyone. Play the game and don't hide. Don't stop yourself. Go out and create greater for yourself, and as well as with your partner. In fact, create greater things in your relationship. Thank you. It's a wrap. See you in next week, and every week I promise you to come up with a single episode of my own, but I don't know when is it really going to happen. But yeah, as long as content is coming and I feel that it's going to add value to the listeners, it's going to contribute to your life, I'm just going to turn on my mic and just start sharing things with you all. Till then, take care, bye bye. And if you want to connect with our coaches or me, you can always go on Instagram or any other social media platform, and you can search for Swamy Pillai. It's SWAMY space PILLAI. And similarly for Mansi, it's MAANSI. And I've already shared the Pillais Right, so they are the Pillays in the house, and thank you. We'll invite you soon again
Thank
to do
you.
a
Thank you,
fabulous
guys.
episode.
Looking forward to everyone to catch up again.
See
Let's
you
have
all.
more fun.
Sure. Thank you. See you. Bye bye. Take care.